Well, they follow me over to my clients again. You see them drive by. What is wrong with them? What is wrong with them? Seriously, what is wrong with them? Mental insanity, or are they sucking on all the drugs they were stabbing me with up there? Hmm? They're like mentally insane people. Like I said, the cat's already out of the bag for a long time. Canton Police, I told you, we're looking into it. And because they told January 1922 Department of Disability that I was drugged and told to say it, and there's Canton Police upstairs and tape and audio. They were around for February 2nd, 22, Burlington Coat Factory. Some guy admitted to personally drugging me and telling me to say something. On March 24, 22, 1130 screamed at a couple apartment buildings away that they framed me. My neighbor Amy even heard it, and they heard it because they sold a log at by Christmas 18. They were saying stuff clear out North Canton to me. Let's see. May 12, 22, Bubba's Restaurant about the shower scene in the other room. May 26, 22, KSC about the shower scene in the other room. 8, 9, 21, first thing in the morning, apartment building, for me, second close to the fence, ratted out Dave, talked to the police. A few days later, where I was getting sick on his drinks, and it was roofing me. I thought he was poisoning me. May 25th, 21, 6 p.m., 2 witnesses on my phone of the church people breaking in before drugging me and telling me to say weirdo stuff. 1295 Fairlawn, little apartment, little white lady screamed at him, talked to several people at the Oakland apartment December 9, 21, 4 p.m. that all the tapes before with them and not me, and they're drugged and photoshopped, and it's just a bunch of men doing crimes down here. Same day, December 9, 21, white man bald with dark eyes distributing food at the Stark County Hunger Task Force on 9th Street. He worked the case. Canton found him. Came out and told everybody we always knew the tapes before with them and not her, so we never said a word. Okay? So the cat's out of the bag. People have been going to the Canton Police and other police departments and ratting these people out. Okay? And they're looking for them. And they're so arrogant and so stupid, they run around. But we did it. We drugged her and told her to see it. We did the shower scene in the other room. We get her in trouble, what? Are they going to claim mental insanity? I mean, seriously. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. Failure to notify for initiating and speaking to the other person in the home is abuse and misconduct, and failure to protect is abuse and misconduct goes into the right of privacy, the Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure. I confronted the Portage County Sheriffs, and they said that they had no knowledge of what these people are saying, and what they are saying is illegal, and they could not look or listen, and that it is the Fourth Amendment. So why are they running around saying stuff that no one can look at? I said something to Officer Reinhardt in Louisville, and he said it comes down to no matter what until Will took your statement and agreed to protect you. They couldn't even be in your home. It's illegal to look and listen. And he said as far as there being a judge's family involved, that whole county could never work a case against you in your whole life. It would be thrown out for conflict of interest, and they go to jail. And Will was corrupt. They were breaking August 10th or 11th, 22. Walmart 62 by the hair salon started following me around how they call Will, and they got a deal. And I got to thinking how mean he was. When I called him up and I tried to tell on Dave for calling that guy, and he coming up and threatened to knife me, and he was the one that tried to carjack me, tried to kidnap me in front of Terry, and threatened to knife me, and I got away from him. And then the older blonde Pizza Hut lady from Ravenna Pizza Hut, so someone was paying her to stalk me, and I get paid to watch her, and the banker's screaming at me. He's like, "You're a liar. You either confess you're lying, or I'll put you in jail." He didn't want me to report that, because if he went and pulled the surveillance, he pulled Dave's phone number for that Pizza Hut. He had Dave, and what he did was doing that. And you either say it or I'll arrest you. That's called badgering a witness, obstruction to justice, and tampering with evidence. It's not legal. Do you know if he has a girlfriend? Some guy's rambling about it, and he's like, "Stop, she doesn't know." He knew everything. And where he said, "I'll list you informant," gives me all these big promises. But if you tell someone I'll list you crazy and no one can help, he can't do that. That's obstruction to justice, tampering with evidence, and victimizing a witness and battering a witness. It can't be or badgering a witness. You can't set somebody up. And I talked to someone who worked at the prosecutor's office. He started laughing and he said he can't do any of that. Everything he said was illegal. And you can't use illegal. And the Camp Police already knows he was corrupt. They have told people that the reason why all these bad things happened to me is he was corrupt and he didn't want to help me. And so all these bad things happened to me. It is his fault. And I never had to stay quiet. He knew it was Dave's girlfriend's family and friends doing it on their own, and Dave rape drugging me and photoshopping me, being assholes. He needs to go to jail, and I reported this to the Department of Justice. And I'll tell you what, when they get around to this case, and everyone I've talked to, why they haven't helped me and fund a program, they're going to be answering to the Department of Justice. My one attorney didn't turn in the paperwork when I got a small settlement for my divorce, because I settled for very little out of threats on my life and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughters, and then attempts. I needed him to go away, and getting things out of fear and dress is extortion and racketeering. And it just, my attorney didn't file the paperwork and kept lying and lying and lying. And I turned him into the Bar Association. The Bar Association, with the emails and stuff where he sent them to me, had him nailed. Just like we're on a recorded line to Will. And the state got around to my case a year and a half later. And my old attorney lost his license for a year, and then he has to be monitored for a year for being corrupt, for just lying to me. So what do you think when the Department of Justice gets a hold of this and everything on those recorded lines get filed into the Department of Justice to monitor them, to make sure that they're not corrupt, is going to do to everyone that didn't help me? Badgers lost, fired, arrested. 2 retired sheriffs I talked to, and they said, we know that there is a judge's family involved, but people need to do their damn jobs. If you don't do your damn jobs, then you go to jail and you lose your badge, because failure to protect is abuse and misconduct. And there are state programs. And one of the retired sheriffs, he said it's nothing but shit that's happening to you. He said, and he said the state actually needs to make it up to you. They do. I was supposed to be in protected custody, and all these crimes in a legally bugged house starting September 27th, 18, because an officer went and talked to Dave. Just like the Amish men with the beards. I was abused so horribly. I lived through a concentration camp trying to keep my family out of it and let these bastards go after me. It's sick and it's disgusting, and people need to be horrified of what happened to me and how the law enforcement is looking away and not caring that other people are corrupt and are taking payoffs not to do their job, and then they're not either being man or woman enough to do their job either. And I can honestly, do they really think the Department of Justice will turn their back on this much corruption? Do they? Yeah. They better think again. My old attorney didn't think he'd get in trouble. State police license. I don't know. I don't even know what to think. They were lying to people that I had charges against me. And I can pass an FBI background check. I can pass a BCI background check. It's a state background check. There's nothing against me. They just lied. They lied to cover up where they drugged me and told me to say stuff, that they photoshopped a shower scene, and they altered everything before. I'll tell you what. March 13, 21, I went to Altman Hospital. Now, these are just the people in the store in Ravenna, and then I call retired Judge Pete and his dirty friends. Okay? They show up with big badges and let them in the back of Altman Hospital. They talked to Dr. Alan Antinez. That's how scary this is. That weird Eric stalking me. He calls the nurse and security and lies to them, and they're mean to me. The security calls me, name I reported, they'll take care of their staff. Okay? So, yeah, I reported them. I went over to Mercy Medical. Now, one of the things as an informant, no man was ever to touch me. That's legally or harmfully, got diplomatic immunity. Okay? The lady comes in and said no man was ever to touch her. Nurse comes in laughing. The only thing they had on you was adjusting herself. The guy standing said, "That's sick." She said, "No." She went straight down. She just simply wiped off some water, clothes up. It's actually funny. That's all they had. She said, he said, "That's sick." She said, "No, it's actually really funny. That's all they had." She just simply wiped off water with clothes on. She went straight down. Now, what is wrong with this? Where they're supposed to have, I had bruises the size of orange and grapefruit, I had hand marks, I had a cut on my leg. I was getting bruised up. I was getting sick on drinks and had to lay down. They were roofing the hell out of me up there. Okay, so they have all these fake confessions. And the lady that told the nurse at Mercy Medical had nothing. Had nothing. And she was laughing. She was like, "She just went like this." That's it. Why do you think about that? Then where they said March 2nd to the 3rd, 21, they were going to put two clips together, put me in a porn. It's not her, it's them. My car's bugged from that case. They heard it. Then the May 12, 22, Bubba's Restaurant of the shower scene in the other room. May 26, KFC in Belden at noon. The shower scene in the other room was done on purpose to make me look weird. That's where Ed at the Oakland apartment, the drugs and the photoshopping, December 9, 21, 4 p.m. went, and they told him that he went to the Canton Police and investigators, and so did the guy at the Hunger Task Force. The same day, white man, bald with dark eyes, distributing food in the back. There's only 4 or 5 volunteers. Canton Police got a hold of him. That everything was drugged in Photoshop. He actually worked the case. That they always knew that. That's why nobody said anything to me. But that's how far their tapes are altered. They have admitted to erasing some guy named Chris out of the room and some other guy's part where they were beating me under amnesia drugs. I'm glad I don't remember, because when they got to torturing me during the Protected Light case, July to September 19, 1 to 3:30 in the morning, it was the worst night of my life and horrifying on godly levels. Some guy they sold a login. Over 50, 60 people have had enough nerve to say something to my face about seeing it. Some guy in Hartville at a used clothing store, he looked at a lady and said, "You know, they could have beat her to death." Yes, they could have. And I lived through that. Because I tried to help that Asian lady, said her husband died up there. They've been talking about him. Where on the gunshot night right before Christmas, my ex-husband's caught with the shooters outside. He made a big mistake and got caught on the surveillance of the Protected Light case that they killed 2. And so some lady showed up and said that her husband died that night, and that's when I tried to turn him in, and that's how I ended up getting tortured and wanted to stay quiet. Evil people, evil people. These people they're evil on ungodly levels. But where they drugged the hell out of me during the case, they were already doing it before. And sick bastards, cowardly bastards, breaking in a woman's home and stabbing her with needles in her sleep. Roofing drinks when she's out of the room. They're sick, psychotic bastards. Do you realize what a sitting judge would do to them? Do you know, just for a legal search and seizure, if an officer is involved, it's 5 years. And it's not admissible. Police and agencies can only be in a home under threat of life, and failure to notify for initiating and speaking to the other person in the home is abuse, misconduct. Failure to protect is abuse, misconduct. It goes in the right of privacy, a legal search and seizure. I confronted the Portage County Sheriffs, and they said they had no knowledge, nor was any of their officers ever in my home outside a protected light case. That would be illegal, and they could not look or listen, just like the Massillon Police. It's not admissible, and Officer Reinhardt, until Will took your statement at the Canton FBI, and he agreed to protect you, there is nothing else, and they couldn't even be in your home. We could never look or listen. The other day I was in Macy's, some lady showed up and said, none of this is funny. They're telling everyone you had charges and to come up and say something to you, and we found out there's nothing. I'm like, you're slow, right? The police have been telling everybody I was innocent for over 3.5 years. My ex-daughter-in-law, Melissa, and I became friends with a new girlfriend, made up some mean games to pretend, knowing I was in police protected custody. And they're getting followed around, and the kids getting caught on Thanksgiving of 18. They wanted the house for Auntie Chow and Papa, and Grandma needs to get out, and they were making everything up to Flora. They caught Melissa telling them why. Where Dave complained that I had men around me act like they wanted me. They were security guards and investigators and police. And yeah, they were chasing people off, grabbing them when they come at me. I wouldn't be alive. And will end up in jail, because if they think that the Department of Justice will not pull that phone call, and like my one friend that went to used to work for the prosecutor's office, everything that agent said was illegal. He cannot do that. He cannot talk to you like that, and he can't tell people no one can help you, and he can't bully you into saying you're lying or under a threat of going to jail. They have to take your statement and then follow through and pull the evidence and find out on their own. They could have got Dave with the phone call calling the guy that he hired. Or the Pizza Hut lady called him. Or he called someone to call him. Or worst scenario, he used a company phone. Or I have a phone call to make. And he had Dave nailed, and he knew it. Like they said, they cut a deal with him. My one friend that worked at the prosecutor's office said that it's called a backdoor deal. Unfortunately, people like slip in the back door, cut a deal for somebody to be victimized or killed. We see it all the time in the prosecutor's office. And until somebody actually picks up that case and makes it right, that poor victim gets victimized or killed. Nothing they have is admissible. That's why they do their little hate dance around me. A sitting judge would arrest them on the spot for being in my home for stalking. That's why the Massillon Police and Canton Police are looking for them for stalking. So, where they lied, they had a court order. I told the Portage County Sheriff's that his mouth dropped open. Lady sheriffs are like, that's not funny. There is no such thing. The only time police and agencies can be in a home is under a threat of life. And they have to speak to everyone before they start. It's just is what it is. You have the right also to remain quiet, the right to an attorney, the right to a fair court trial, bail them on. Oh, and you also have the right not to be mistreated. And you have a right to privacy. You cannot erase the Constitution. And people need to be afraid of the disgrace. My Pastor Mike, preached Amos 5:24. Let justice come down like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. For where there's been injustice, to pray for justice. See, the one officer, heavyset officer that went to Dave was at Liberty House Share Liberty House Share on Hills and Dales Road, June of 19. He told the North Canton Jackson Police, worst thing you ever did wrong, honey, is bend over and probably we can wipe that one out. Telling me from the back of my knees. He was laughing. He was at Dr. Rapika's office, and some lady had yelled at him for being mean to me. Okay? She showed up at the mall with a brown bearded man, and we're walking up towards the jewelry store. She looked over at him and said, you know, she's amazing. And she looked back at me. I'd like her to speak when this is over. He turned back and looked at me and said, she is amazing. And I could write a bestseller on what happened. I would call it Karen's Prayers, a paid-off dirty agent, a man trying to kill his wife, and men being shot at running. It'd be a bestseller. Welcome to Karen's Prayers. A woman looking for justice, where a crooked, evil, retired judge thinks he can pay everybody not to do their jobs. Mixed in with an occult that was hiring stalkers and killers. He's in with a drug unit, and that he can think he can drug people, Photoshop them, stalk them, and help an occult, Jim Jones occult, get away with murder. I have even said before, is there not a just man out there that to do his own job that he was sworn to do? Because I'll tell you what, my one friend that worked at the prosecutor's office, he said this Muslim man found out the police were surveillancing him in his home. He went to a judge. He yelled at those officers. He said, I could never look or listen. That man has the right to privacy, and he can sue you for this. Yeah. But on the gunshot night, when I looked out the window, the old lady's light, it was on. He said something stupid, and I looked back and it went off. It was like an explosion, like the light bulb exploded. Or was it a discharge from a gun? Somebody walked by me from Walmart. It was actually a discharge, where they said they went to the wrong house. I think they broke in that old lady's apartment. That's where the light went on. They said the guy, March 19th, we traded in my car. And by then I'm so scared of him, it took my breath away to even be around him. I went to walk in the snow, and one of my guys were sitting out at the bench, and I recognized him from his vehicles, that would follow me. And I asked him, I said, may I sit? And he said yes, and he started telling me that his son died in the hospital with pneumonia. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Dave came out and looked out the door, get in here. And I said, I'll be in a minute. And I said, go ahead and continue. He looked at me and said, oh, honey, I know what's going on. I said, I'm a big girl, I can handle it. He's like, you're not big enough for that. I said, I'm fine. Continue. Dave came out the door again. I said, get in here. I said, are they ready for us? No. I said, I'll be in a minute. He looked scared for me. The guy I was talking to, I said, I'm fine. Continue. He did it one more time. I looked at him and I said, I'll keep you in my prayers. And I'm so sorry for your loss. And I went to go. Dave's like, you whore. You committed adultery with that man. I said, that man lost his son and I was listening to him. I did not commit adultery. I go to sit and I said, are they ready for us? No. And so I went to sit in the waiting room, and where all my security is there, they filled that waiting room. And he's running back and forth like a chicken with its head cut off again, acting crazy. And we go back to sign paperwork. He's like, you whore, you committed adultery with all those men sitting in there. I said, it's a waiting room. We're just sitting in a waiting room. I don't miss being mistreated. But they walked by me in Walmart and said that man that his son died doesn't want anybody to say anything to him. I try to get people help. 19. An Asian lady showed up at Massacres Park with a little boy. I bought a prepaid phone and I did video statements. And I got 60 to witness where Dave bragged that there was gunfire. They went to the wrong house and I was target practice. And I took it down to set my old attorney. And I asked him if he'd deliver it, and I could see the bad trucks and that Henry Mafia that was stalking me for Dave.
And I'm like, I can't tell you what's in that box. He said, I don't deliver those kind of boxes. And I ended up leaving. And I thought, how am I going to get it to him without them grabbing it? Because they surround me. And in the middle of the night, they're screaming, you can't beat a single woman by herself. We can't have her state what happened there. I ended up the arms above my head, smothered with pillow, punched my private area, punched up inside. Fourth time coming up for air, I passed out. Sit her up, old fat white man. The cops raping me, and he was so dirty. He was in with one of the stalkers. They had to get on my face, smothering. I sit her up, and they start pouring something in my mouth, and my arms went straight down. And she don't state it, don't you can't say this thing. And they kept smothering me and punching me in my private area until I finally, and then hit me in the face until I finally said whatever they wanted and passed out. I woke up a little bit later, still paralyzed from the drugs. Roll her over. If she thinks they puckered her butt, wait till I'm done with her. And I'm laying on my stomach crying in pain as the rain. And I pass out. The next morning I wake up and I have a welt around my face for weeks. I have black and blue eyes, black and blue marks here, and fingerprints up and down my arms, and my private areas 3 times swollen. I had post-traumatic syndrome from that place. And I went into robot mode. I went in and got in the shower and curled up and cried. I got up and I thought, I gotta wash my bedding. They raped me. I go down and they have idiot women mocking me at the laundromat. I left. I went on to, that evening, I went on to Macy's for church. Or within a few days, I went to church. I went to Macy's I went to church. I seen that idiot. And I go on to Faith Family Church. And now they sold the login by Christmas 16, and people have that for personal enjoyment. That officer comes in the back of Faith Family Church. I had to arrest that whore. Calls me a whore. The young usher with black hair and glasses got in his face. What you did was considered rape. You leave her alone. And people were staring at me and him, and I'm crying rivers of tears, and I leave. I worked at Berry Cheese also between July and September 19. 4 women were in the main room. He said, if you open your mouth again, he'll do it to you again. I swore to stay quiet. I have to take spasm medicine at times. I used to be in so much pain it'd be ridiculous. And these people run around with their shower scenes and drugs and told to say stop. I look at them like, have you lost your minds doing this to a human being? Someone needs to get down here and fix this. What was very corrupt and taking a payoff to let this happen to me. He needs to go to jail. And so does everyone involved.